everybody, Naomi's here. Yay.
I made
Uh,
it.
so, yeah, I was just introducing what we're going to talk about and ranting on about the constant hypocrisy of what we are seeing. The fact that I woke up this morning to a whole new massacre on my screen. I don't know if you also saw about the Al Jarjaru school that was just, I think, this morning taken out. Yeah, woke up with charcoaled children's bodies on my screen. So that's what we're dealing with on this Monday morning, guys. Another Monday,
Stop.
another
It
massacre.
doesn't
Yeah.
stop. Every day, and their children, and their women, and babies, and it just doesn't stop.
Was there anything, specifically since we last spoke that, maybe you want to share? You feel that's important to share?
Yeah, I think it's something that I've always, well, I haven't always, but I've been kind of going into the last year or so is the New Age community.
Right.
Um, it's just really hard. Like you and I have both come from those kind of communities, and they're a big chunk of the world. Like they're a big chunk of Australia, and to see their silence, they're literally letting us down, and it's really hard. And there's nothing that we can say, or sorry, excuse the background noise, but there's nothing we can say that's going to convince them to speak or to support us or to help us or to share a campaign or to donate. Like just even the minimal of like a $5 instead of a $5, or it's now like almost $10 coffee. It's so minimal, and it's yeah, that's something that I really grapple with every day. It's something I'm trying to find peace with. But
Yeah.
these spiritual people who say they're here as like light workers and healers, and they're doing their light codes and speaking their light language, and it's like, who are you doing it for?
Right.
Because all you're doing is to make money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
all they're doing is just to make money. There's no humanity. They think they're doing it for anything else, but they're not. They're not.
Yeah.
They would walk past someone who needed support. That's the kind of people that they are. They're so indoctrinated, and they're so superficial and so egotistical.
Yeah.
And then me saying that, it's like, oh well, you're so judgmental, and you need to look within, and
Just
it's
focus on your own frequency. Focus on your own frequency. It's like, well, the global frequency is fucked right now and it's at an all-time low. So I can't lift my frequency until I see some global healing taking place and I see more people being like less cuck, as would say in South Africa. Because that's where
I
we
love the
are.
word cut. I was saying that to Nate last night.
I'm sick of the cuckness. Oh, and you know what? The fun fact, guys, there's an actual word for like shitty leaders. It's called cucktocracy. No jokes. I just shared it
I
in
love
my.
it. Should we come up with something? Well, hey, you've came up with a few things for the New Age community, didn't you?
Yes, let's share this with everyone. If you are picking up on the hypocrisy that Naomi is talking about in the spiritual community, where they are literally completely avoiding these important conversations about Palestine because, like, oh no, just focus on your own self. White sage zios, which are rampant in South Africa, Cape Town, and Thailand right now because they're all swarming to these places. I'll get there in a minute. What else did we say? Zion, Zen Zion.
Zen Zion. I like that one.
Um,
They have no idea that the New Age has been corrupted by Zionism. They have no idea that a lot of it comes from Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism, and it's all inverted, and it's using black magic as part of the New Age. The Istar tantric community, and how they were done for, I think it was like sexual assault or something like that. And when the woman actually complained and she actually voiced her expression, they turned around and went, well, we've all got a victim and we've all got a perpetrator inside us. So you just need to get in touch with your inner victim and your inner perpetrator. And that's the New Age community. If you go and address something that you're frustrated with, and they'll turn around and say you're angry or you're traumatized or you need, and it's like, no, I'm really just human, and I'm just expressing to you that I really want to know why you're not speaking about children dying.
thing about the wellness holistic community. They've basically taken indigenous knowledge, like real indigenous knowledge, and they have completely capitalized on it. And, in Thailand, I've told you, I attended a few sessions of like certain programs and stuff. And afterwards I realized I was like, actually, what the fuck? Like this is so hypocritical. This is so hypocritical. And then I went to Cape Town and I did a few sessions there. And again, not one of them was talking about Palestine, but they were charging like, $200 like to attend their frequency light work, like whatever kind of session it was, and I went in with the intention like to try feel better because of the low state frequency of the world, and then I was like, actually, I can't support this anymore. It's now on my sound bowl therapy because that is a legit thing. Frequency is a legit thing, but I'm not going to. Yeah, I'm not going to be like super capitalizing on it, and turning it into something. I want to take it and use it in my hope, seeing these children every day that are completely dysregulated in Palestine with their nervous system. You've seen it. We see it every day. They're shaking. And my hope is to take what I've learned with sound therapy and take it over to Palestine and be able to do holistic work on these kids, in the purest form. And that, I think there's we've had this conversation as well. There's such a fine line between tapping into consciousness and frequency and energy and vibration, because it's all very real, and tapping into the dark forces. And that is where Kabbalah, I think, maybe originally it wasn't that way inclined, but it has, again, it's become hijacked. It's become hijacked by the people that know how powerful this stuff is, and they've completely used it for capitalist gain, for power, for money. That is my opinion. That is what I think is going on here.
It's perpetuating the system. It's perpetuating the horrors that we're seeing because they're so busy promoting their course and promoting their retreat. And it's like, but hang on a minute. Like you are perpetuating the system by you staying silent. You're actually consenting. And there's so many different ideologies, which if you watch my content, you see I speak so loudly about this. And it's taken me a really long time because they judge you. They judge you. They say they're not judgmental, but they judge you. They don't want you speaking up. They don't understand why you're speaking up because for them it's low vibration. They think that the Palestinian soul contract, the Sudan soul contract, child trafficking soul contract, child molestation soul contract, anything rape soul contract is being chosen by before they came and incarnated in this lifetime. So they need to let it play out and let it just do its thing. And it's like it's an air of, and my partner said it, it's superiority, it's supremacy. They think they are better than people who, what was that?
Part of the whole like settler colonial agenda, and the thing is like you ask them, okay, cool, so you're down with this soul contract next time. You're okay to being burnt to charcoal.
Well, they say that. They go, oh, well, I was probably that in one lifetime. They have to feel their own pain, and they don't want to feel their own pain. But what's so beautiful is like you and I connecting and speaking out about it, and then there's so many other people who are speaking out about it now, which is just, I'm hoping our world depends on these ideologies, the Christian ideology, the Jewish ideology, all of the ideologies being broken down, and there's truth and deception, there's beauty and there's horror in each one.
Yeah. So, and the thing is, they've just, again, we had this conversation last time, coming from a Christian Catholic background and coming from a Zionist Jewish background. Again, the truth of the belief systems have been weaponized over time. They really, really have. And it is essential for every single human to unlearn it, specifically if you were raised Jewish, specifically if you were raised Christian and Muslim, because I'm sorry, they all come from the same three Abrahamic faiths, and we are not meant to be divided. Again, Jesus was not Christian. He was not Muslim. He was, grew up in Palestine, but he taught, the only thing he was teaching in South African terms was don't be cock. Don't be cock.
Right. And then they revere Jesus in all the religions, right? And, well, not really the Jewish one, but the New Age do. Yeshua, they do the Christ consciousness and they pray to Jesus and they write the Sophia Code with Yeshua's teachings. And it's like, but you can't even speak around Christmas when children are being live massacred. Like, what is wrong with you? And I've seen it. It's gotten to the point where I actually struggle being around these people now and actually having conversations because it's it's like another form of cognitive dissonance, but they've put themselves on such a superior spiritual level that they don't believe that they have to do anything. They believe that they can ascend to, someone said they want to ascend to 7D when my dad died. It's like, I'm going to ascend to 7D. It's like, how about you just ground in this reality? And you and I have both been in this, and we've both, you know, at the time we didn't understand it. So we thought that was real. So at the time when I started hearing about soul contract and all that kind of stuff, I started thinking, oh, maybe that is true. But then when I started to see these exact people stay silent during a live genocide, a live Holocaust, sorry, we've got to be careful about the lives. But, you know, like, you get it. You and I have had so many chats, and then you've got family, well, you've got people, acquaintances that are New Age and are Zionists as well. And it's like a lot of New Agers are Zionists. Look at Gabby Bernstein. Look at, there's a couple of other ones I can't remember off the top of my head, but majority of them that are the celestial spiritual gurus, they're Zios.
Yeah. I just want to go back to something, because about the Kabbalah thing. I think it relates a lot to the Talmud. And, you know, that book needs to be burned, sorry, as far as I'm concerned, because this is the foundational problem. And do you know that Talmud has managed to infiltrate even the Bible? So if you guys are not aware, have you heard of the Schofield Bible, Naomi?
You might have to tell me again.
Well, I mentioned it a little bit briefly earlier. So the Schofield Bible is why you have Christian Zionism. There was a guy who was brought on to literally rewrite the Bible with a narrative to support Israel and Zionism. So that is why you have this mass group of Christians that support it. The whole test is, this test is not for the Palestinians. The test is for humanity.
Yeah.
And if we don't get this right, if they are not free, we are not going to ascend into the 5D golden age and that kind of thing. Like, it will not happen. We are in the age of Aquarius, and it's, you know, the prophecy is that, like, we are going to enter a period of love and light, but not if everyone's not speaking up about this. That is what I believe it is. This is an earth test.
This is huge. Like, this is the biggest test. Like, you know, I'm a descendant of a Holocaust survivor. My grandfather lost his entire family. We spoke about this on the last live. And I always wondered how it happened. Why didn't the ordinary person talk about this? And I share a lot about this in my content. And then to actually see people I know actually not care. Like, and also this is live streamed to us. This isn't like with the Jewish Holocaust. It was under the covers, you know. There were people that knew about it and they turned away. But this is like broadcasted to our phone. Children and babies being you know, I can't say what, because the live will shut up. But, you know, this has been every single day, honey. We have everyone who is standing for Palestine has been seeing dead babies every single day for 19 months. Dead women, dead men, and not just that, horrors like tormenting, rape, you know, like torture, humiliation. In Islam religion, it's haram to ask for money.
Yes.
And so these vultures are making the Palestinians have to beg to eat, beg to survive, beg to feed their children. And then not only that, because these are Zionist apps, they hide their comments, they hide their messages, so they can't even get, it's just, it's so satanic, honey. And me and you talk about this all the time.
That's what it is.
So, what was that?
Yeah, I think once you read, and this is something that I think so many people don't want to admit, like, and this again, this is actually in the Bible. We are living in Satan's world.
Yeah. And they don't want unity between us. Someone said in the comments. That's exactly right. They want to separate us.
And once, this is God's world. This is Source's universe. But we are, again, if you're looking from the Bible or biblical perspective of it, we are living in Satan's world. And because we have free will, because the Creator gave us free will, this is the entire test. Are you going to use your free will to speak up? Or are you going to use your free will to say nothing and ignore it? And this will keep perpetuating and keep happening. Like, that's why I think we are seeing history repeating itself over and over and over again until there is a population on this earth that says enough is enough. And the age cast was meant to be that point. The age cast was meant to be that point of never again means never again. And we are now fucking failing as humanity. So as far as I'm concerned, sorry, y'all, I think we need another great flood. I am all for another great flood on this earth. Whatever. Like, restart. Because that's what it is. I really believe, like, this is the test. You know?
And what do we do with the people who think it's okay? What do we do with all the Israelis that think it's okay? And I think there was like a thing that came out and said 80% of them, don't quote me on that, I need to look at the stats, but I think it said 80% of them think it's okay to unalive the Palestinians. What do we do with those people, guys? Like, what do we do, hun?
Again, this comes from the Talmud. In the Talmud, we spoke about it briefly, I think, Goyim, right? In
Gentile.
Yeah. If you are not Jewish, you are Goyim. And that means anybody that is not Jewish needs to be killed. Animal, that's what I read when I was researching about the Talmud. So again, when you've been told that your whole life, we've all been indoctrinated in various ways. So from an Israeli or Jewish Zionist perspective, like, you've been indoctrinated your whole life to believe that. I'm sure you've all seen the videos, guys, of what they are taught in schools in Israel and just in Jewish schools. In Cape Town, I know the indoctrination in the Jewish schools is insane. They are taught from a young age that the Palestinians and Arabs are animals. So if you're told that from age 5, then that's what you're going to believe. Just like I believed for a very long time that Israel and Jews are God. For ages, I believed Jews were God's chosen people because that's what I was told as a Catholic child. Now I'm like, fuck that. We all God's chosen people. We all God's
I got
chosen
told I was one of the chosen people. I'm like, why is there chosen people? Why?
Yeah.
I never, even as a kid, I was like, why is there chosen people? Like, why did God have a favorite?
Yeah.
never made sense.
But again, like, what's been the Israelites in the Bible are not the same Israelis today, and they've completely mixed up and taken it to interpret it how they want to again manipulate, capitalize on all of this, But we can't wake. I'm at the point where, like, I can't wake any more people up. We have to just pray that God gives them discernment, and I thank God every day, like you. It's a blessing and a curse, but I thank God every day that I do have discernment, because it's not something that everybody has, and I think that's where prayer and meditation is really essential. And this is why in Buddhism and in real Christianity and Islam and maybe real Judaism, that you have to pray and meditate. You have to silence your mind in order to learn the
And then
truth.
going back into that meditation is that with the new age, it's like they think it's just a way to bypass, and it's like, no, you actually have to sit in there and quiet your mind and ground into the earth. And the meditation is where you can send protection to people. You can, like I always, every time I go into my meditation, I imagine my Palestinian friends that I've been connecting with for the last year and a bit, and I imagine white light being surrounded by them, because frequency is powerful, and protection, prayer and protection is powerful. And that's where also the new age is letting us down, and the Christians and the Jews, everyone who's praying in synagogue, in churches, in their spiritual circles, and they're not including the whole of humanity, and they're not including the collective, like the whole of humanity, all humans, then it's just cosplay.
Yeah.
It's just cosplay. Look at us. We're good Christians. We're good Jews. We're good spiritual people. It's like, no, you're not. Because you've got no morals.
Yeah. I don't give a, and this, again, with my own family, the hypocrisy, like, oh, we're going to do, like I a lot of people, like I had to go to South Africa for 2 months, guys. And because my family is, someone in my family is dating an Israeli, and the Israeli's mom is like a psychopathic Zionist spiritual, like, healer. It's in my TikTok. I have made a video about it, and I'm dead meat if she ever sees it. But it needs to be spoken about. And on principle, I refused to go to church with my family whilst I was there for 2 months. I was like, I will not fucking step foot
You
in
go,
a church
girl.
until y'all start speaking up. I will not spend my Christmas in church if you are not speaking up for Palestine. And
You guys have to understand that it's really just the people, it's really just us. Like anyone of the leaders, they're all in their place. They're all in their place for global domination, for more control. They want to bring in a technocratic, more world, more AI, more surveillance. We're seeing it unfold. They want to bring in a cashless society. They're looking to block out the sun in the UK. So we can't trust any large organizations. We can't trust it's literally us, guys, and that's why we have to unite and we have to stick together because we're back in the king and queen era
yeah, we really
where
are.
the king would steal and pillage and take land from the people. We're back in that era. We're back in slave. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I mean, also just it's like, why are we paying for things? We've been so indoctrinated our whole lives in this capitalist system to believe like this is how it is. And now that I'm awake, I'm like, fuck all of this. I'm like, I'm not gonna pay for anything anymore. And I think honestly, guys, like it takes so much courage to do this. But I'm not in a great financial position, but Naomi and I, like we're trying to do the very least now to help the system. If everybody stopped paying their taxes for a day, and if everybody stopped buying into the capitalist consumerist agenda,
Questioning.
we would
Just
crash.
question.
We would
Why am I paying this? Why am I paying rates? Why am I paying taxes? Why are we paying
order?
police
Why are we
to
paying water? It's free. It's rain. And in Palestine, they have to pay for their water. I know that is a thing. The Israeli occupation tries to make them pay for rainwater.
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
going to be all of us. What we are seeing happening in Palestine is a literal trailer of what the world is going to become if we do not stand up now. Because the Israeli occupation, this is beyond just Palestine. It is representation of the new world order that is coming to place near you in the next 4 years, guys. The entire timeline is to 2030, and that is why you're seeing so much collapse. You're seeing so much destruction and so much chaos. They are a ticking time bomb now. They have 5 years to implement this plan. And I feel
they have a motto which is called "You will own nothing and be happy." And have you guys noticed that they now do subscription for everything? Everything that you used to own, you now don't own. Everything is a subscription. So if they flick the button, that subscription's gone and everything's gone. You no longer own anything, you just rent. And that's part of the New World Order, the control. That's what they want. They want us to be good little slaves again. And it's really good to have these big chats because I've known about this from 2020 and people would really get that cognitive dissonance out. But I think that you can see now, you can see it unfold. You can see it unfold that it is Zionism, it is Freemasonry, it is the higher people. And going back to the money thing, I've only just started talking about this on my stories and you saw that. We won't go into the Khazarians. We'll save that for another time. But do you guys know that the current system that we've got for finance is actually the fiat system? It's actually fake money. It's actually printed money. The real currency is the commodities. It's the real currency is the gold, the silver, the heavy metals.
Invest in gold.
Yeah. But do you know what else it is? It's water. It's sunlight. It's seeds. It's all the things that give you life. This money thing that they have everyone obsessed with is actually, do you know how much money they print every single day while we are working our absolute butts off in survival mode, losing time with family, losing time with our children, working in soul draining jobs while they are printing money and living in luxury. People need to understand, and they can stop printing money at any point and then render us all in real dire situation. That's why the commodities, the gold, the silver, which they're raising the prices, and that's why they're pillaging places like Congo. Congo is so rich in resources, so rich in cobalt and gold. And people need to understand that this fiat money system that we're on is a complete an utter scam. And I think it's time we all start talking about that, which I haven't. And now I'm like, okay, I'm ready to start talking about it now.
Again, it requires so much willingness to unlearn because we've been indoctrinated for 300 years. We've been told this is how it is. And, I look at my parents. My parents are like 70 and 65. They still have their own businesses. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, tap out. They're like, oh, we need pension money. I'm like, sell your massive mansion and scale down and focus on your health. And I think, again, we're lucky. Like our generation, we're definitely waking up to this. And again, this is everything that the indigenous tribes around the world stood for. In Australia, with the Aborigines, in Africa, South Africa, in the South America, they had it right. They had it fucking right. And who had it wrong? Us white colonialists. And
you see the Palestinians, and they have like such a connection to the land. Majority of the originals in the Middle East have such a deep connection to the land. The Aboriginals in Australia, they have a deep connection to the land. And I think, people like us, we never got taught that connection to the land. We never know what it's like to really I do now because I'm growing food and I'm more connected and I'm studying things in that area. But growing up, we were, everything was packet and it was so far disconnected from nature. You didn't realize the work that farmers did, and it's all by design because they don't want us self-sufficient. They're bringing children in this world and they're giving them a laptop straight away and being like, this is going to be your life.
And injecting them as soon as they come out from mommy. It is, it again, once you understand that this is truly a spiritual war, everything makes sense. And again,
everything they do is not for our benefit. Everything they do is not for our benefit.
Keep the free, again, like they know about frequency, energy, and vibration. They have it down. They know this from ancient Egyptian, wisdom. This is where it comes from. It comes from ancient Egypt, and they know this, and they've kept it hidden from us. Again, like the Vatican, that's a whole different story. If you're a Christian or you're Catholic, please, for God's sakes, go down the rabbit hole of the Vatican. Like, it is not what you think it is. It is part of the demonic Zionist cabal.
Tentacles in everything.
It's to keep our vibration low and to keep our frequency low. That is the biggest thing about why, again, like in biology, why the fuck was I taught about like osmosis, but I wasn't taught that putting my feet on the ground is going to reconnect me to energy and fix my nervous system? Why wasn't I told that? And in science class, why was I not told that frequency will heal my body too with the right sound vibrations? I was taught about the fucking periodic table, but I wasn't taught about this basic stuff. Because
exactly. I love how passionate you are. Like, it's so good to see the passion, because I can get really passionate and fiery, and it's like people around me are just so monotone and passive, and it's like, guys, we need to be standing up. We need to have a voice. If a policeman turns up at your home for something, you need to be able to stand up for your family. You need to know your rights. And people just think, oh, well, it'll never happen for me. It's like, well, the last person said that. First they came for the Palestinians. First they came for the Jews. Like, it's so, history his story just keeps repeating.
We are all going to be victim. Mark my words. Like I said, if Palestine is not free, guys, we're done. We are done. The new world order, the cabal, Zionism wins. And I think
on the positive, I think that they didn't expect so many people to wake up. They didn't expect. We have probably about 3 to 4 billion people in the world that are now standing and speaking for Palestine. They didn't expect that. They thought it was going to be like a 9/11 where they could go in and they could decimate a whole place and they could take it over and keep that T narrative going. But the beauty of it is that because consciousness is rising on the planet, we are waking up.
And that is Christ consciousness.
Christ consciousness, exactly. What Jesus, what Yeshua embodied. We are accessing that consciousness now, and they are effed because people are now talking about everything.
Okay.
There's
Yes.
nothing, there's no stone that's being left unturned.
Yeah.
And even if they call it conspiracy theorists to start with, they're so strong in their conviction, that they'll keep going until more and more people, like I'm starting to notice a few friends just start to look at my stories and start to engage more. It's like, oh, I see you.
Waking up. Yeah, for sure. And I think, again, because the mainstream media is not talking about this New World Order stuff, and because a lot of people still haven't completely connected the dots of like how the Israeli occupation in Palestine deeply connects to the whole New World Order, like it's so important that we have these conversations, like you said, because a lot of people still haven't fully connected the dots. But it's all connected, guys. It really, really is.
And once you wake up to one thing, you'll start to see the dots with everything else. And like Flower said, anything that's in the news, just question, because everything that's in the news is for distraction or disconnection, separation, division. So the news doesn't benefit us. The news is owned by Zionists. It's owned by the top guys who are orchestrating a HCOS right now. So it's about finding your own source of news. It's about actually talking to Palestinians on the ground or the Congolese or researching. There's we'll go back into the Khazarians. It's like there's some PDFs that have been buried because the Khazarian history has been erased. And so people have buried those. There's PDFs where people have done so much research on this missing link in history, which we'll talk about in another live. And
so deep the rabbit hole.
It's another rabbit hole, and it's erased, and it's completely erased. So it's really important to do the research, even if you don't read, even if you don't, but just listen to people who are doing the research. What we have seen by that flag, by those people, I never thought I'd ever see in my life. I never thought I would ever. And the worst thing is that we're in touch with these Palestinians on the ground. We see how beautiful they are, how humble they are,
They're
how
so
kind.
humble. I mean, and their resilience. I actually want to make a very important point of this. I live in South Korea. Okay, we have the highest suicide rate in the world in South Korea. Now, when I say that Koreans live a very lavish lifestyle, poverty is like minimal compared to other parts of the world. But we have the highest suicide rate in the world. Okay, there's no mass bombing here. There's no genocide. There's none of that. There's a lot of toxic culture here. Okay, and that is what's leading to suicide. But when I look at the Palestinian people, I'm telling you now, I would not last a couple of hours if I was there now. I would have taken my own life a long time ago. And if people cannot make that connection and see their faith, if we can learn anything from the Palestinians, it is their faith in Allah, God, who's the same thing. Because again, there are so many people that are like, oh my God, Allah's not God. I'm like, oh my God, read a fucking Quran read a Quran and you will see there is major overlap. They talk about Jesus and Mary more than like any other biblical text. Okay. So seriously, their faith is unshakable. And this is what Jesus was talking about. This is the unshakable faith that Jesus was talking about that we all need to have.
Yeah.
They can still find reason to live despite losing everything and their children and their limbs and like food and everything. If they still can find reason to live, none of us have an excuse. Like none of us have an excuse.
It is. It's just another level. It's what we've seen, what they've had to go through. They're being starved right now. Starved. They have no food. Every time we eat, all I do is think about them. Well, and I just wish I could transport myself over. You're making me cry. And all I do is I wish I could transport and just give them something that I've got. Like the fact that people aren't even up in arms about Israel intentionally starving. We've got less than 2 million people now. There's probably about over 1 million. We've been seeing massacres every single fucking day. Excuse my French. But, we haven't stopped seeing it. Everybody who is standing for Palestine is doing so, one, because they're human, two, because they've got morals and ethics, And 3, because we have seen the worst of the worst done to the most beautiful people in the world by absolute savages under satanic mind control.
Yeah.
Satanic mind control. It is satanic mind control. The New Age is under satanic mind control. Anyone who is not speaking for Palestine right now is under satanic mind control.
Yeah. It is.
And they don't understand it.
It's a spiritual war.
It's a definitely spiritual war. Definitely spiritual war. And it's all got different ideologies. So with the New Age, it's like, oh, I'm not going to speak because, I don't want to lower my vibration. Who told you that? Where did that come from? Did the indigenous actually sit there in their circle and go, don't look at the person over there wounded because we might lower our vibration? Like, where did that come from? Why aren't they asking the question of where that actually came from? I do believe that we hold a frequency. We are vibrational people, and we do have to be in a high vibrational state to attract things to us. I do believe that about spirituality. But where did it come from? You can't call out evil. You can't call out darkness. You can't support somebody. You can't even donate because you're going to lower your vibration. Like that in itself. And then you look at the Christians, and they have been completely warped to think that anyone that is not Christian is basically against them, and they're going to go to hell because they haven't taken Jesus as their Lord and Savior. And then you look at the Jews who have brought up, like me, who were brought up tying their identity to Israel. And if anything happened to Israel, that meant that something would happen to us. If Israel exists, we are safe. If Israel doesn't exist, we're not safe. And it doesn't matter who it is, they will be against anyone who is standing against Israel. And same with Christians. That's why my partner's father told him that he would see him at his funeral, when my partner said, I don't believe in Israel. I think it's a terrorist state. So there's all these little satanic ideologies, and then you've got the Hinduism and you've got the Buddhism, and there's beauty in all of it because it stems from beauty, but it's been manipulated. It's been spiritually, it's a spiritual war. It's been manipulated. It's gone into people's minds. They don't even realize they're not their minds. When they're not talking about Palestine, their beliefs are not their own.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm so passionate about this.
It's good. Like, this is what sorry guys, you can see Naomi and I we're both very emotional beings, and that's why we connected so deeply, because there are very few people around us, like in our physical spaces, that understand how Naomi and I have been feeling for so long. And again, it's the friends that see your stories, see you speaking up. They don't fucking share. They don't engage. They just fucking fuck all of you. Sorry. Like, if you're wondering why I'm silent these days, why I don't want to hang out, that's why. Because your silence is literally enough for me to like want to end friendships these days. That's where I'm at. Like, I'm just like, it's not hard to share. You can't do anything, or you still can't feel. I don't expect you to feel like I do, because it's shit feeling like we do. But just share. If you're able to look at a story, you have half a second to fucking share it. That is all. I don't care if you're not into politics. This is not political anymore. People are like, oh, I don't want to get political. This isn't being political. It's being human. This is about humanity now. We are way beyond the political scene. If you're not into politics now, you're going to be enslaved to the New World Order. The end. And I ain't going to come help you then. Don't cry when it happens. I ain't going to come help you when we've been trying to tell you how this whole thing connects. That's where I'm at. There is a march to Gaza happening, like a global march to Gaza happening. And Naomi and I have been having conversations about this because our souls really want to be there, but we just don't know if it's possible. But if anybody is able to go, it's happening on the 15th of June. There are a lot of countries involved. Literally type in onto Instagram and Facebook, March to Gaza. There is a platform for it, guys. And if you are in the situation that allows you to go.
There's also the Tunisia. They just put out that video the 9th of June, and they're going to be they're in a convoy.
Yes, I think it's all connected. So I think from like the 10th of June, people will be going, and then like they all globally going to unite at the border on the 15th. And this is, I think, like, even if I can't get there, this is a pivotal moment again. Like, this is such a powerful thing that's going to happen. And we need to pray. We need to really pray and put the energy out there to protect every single person that's there, in the hope that it makes some kind of difference. I think it's going to clock out soon. But yeah, but thank you to everybody for watching, and we appreciate it. And yes, contact Naomi, contact me if there are things you'd like to talk about. We'd both love to host you guys on our lives as well. These chats are really important no matter where you're from in the world, especially people from countries where the mainstream media has constantly sold you out as being like these terrorist, awful places. Yemen has been a friggin' champion when it comes to standing up for Palestine, and the
a friend like
mainstream
Yemen.
it is like top of my list with Palestine when all of this ends, you know. So especially if you're from these countries that we don't really hear about in the mainstream media, would love to connect with you. And you know, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Iran, all these countries that we've been told are so goddamn awful and terrible, you know. Yeah. You want to say, babe?
Just that my podcast episode 3 is almost edited. It ended up being about 2 hours. So I've interviewed a beautiful Muslim man from the UK, and we talk about all things 9/11, Zionism, Palestine, Islam, and a few other things. So once that's edited, I will be publishing it, and you can find me on Awaken Writer. I think the Awaken Writer. It's just I've kept this name because
Brand, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, guys, just keep your discernment. Just don't believe things willy-nilly. Always do your research. If you hear confronting information, just listen. Don't pull away from it. Just listen. And you never know, something else might make sense. We've got to keep our minds open and our hearts open right now, because humanity is really depending on it.
Yeah, it really, really is. So thank you everybody for listening. And like we said, if you have donated coins or stars or flowers or whatever it is, we will we try and send it if we can to those in Palestine. So thank you everybody. God bless everybody. Stay safe. Please keep speaking up, and fuck Israel.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine. And
thanks,
Congo
honey.
and Sudan and everybody else.
Yes.
Love you all. Chat later. Bye.